All right, so we're out here today talking about mobile setups. We're going to run through all our setups and then take you guys up the tree and show you exactly how we set up. This is going to be my first year running a mobile setup. This will be Jason's what?
I've been doing it with a setup like this for probably 2 years now.
Yeah.
And every year I tweak it a little bit, so it changes a little.
And Zach?
I think I've been running something similar to this for maybe 4 years, 5 years. Like Jason said, I've tweaked it here and there. Every year you find something that you don't like or something that works better. So
yeah, we'll take you guys through each one of our stands and take you guys up the tree then. We're on the Millennium M7 stand with Lone Wolf sticks. It's super light, super convenient. The platform's a little small, but I'll get used to it this year. It has the Versa button down here for a Lone Wolf strap, so the bottom stays secure. And yeah, basically this ratchets to the tree up top, and then it basically slides in by removing this pin, and basically like that right on the tree.
Okay, so I'm running a XOP Vanish stand, and then I'm using Muddy Pro sticks with my setup. I actually purchased a 5th Muddy Pro stick from a buddy, actually from Zach, and to get it a little higher. When I first started using this, I ran just the 5 sticks and the stand, and this year I'm experimenting more with using an aider with this setup to try to eliminate a stick or two. Can get the same height or maybe even a little higher with less sticks and shed some weight. Each of these sticks, I don't know, I think I weigh around 2 or 2.5 pounds, so every one of these I can remove from this setup, it's a little better. There is a couple little modifications I did to the stand. I added basically the equivalent of stealth strips to the sticks. And then on the stand, I'll show it to you when we hang the stand, but I added a nylon loop up top, paracord loop up top for helping to hang the stand. Kind of similar to what Lane's setup is with his the quick disconnect or whatever it's called. The quick setup, similar, but I use a bow hook where I'm able to. I also, the stock backpack straps came with the stand. I got these off a surplus website. They're just Molly straps. So it gives you some added padding, added support. They do make a Molly setup that you can get a kidney strap for also, so that also takes some weight off. I don't really have a problem with just going this route. I also didn't want that added bulk on the bottom of the stand, because remember, this is the bottom when you're up the tree. And you can see I kind of went over all of it with some earth tone paints to just kind of break up the silhouette a little bit. I'm holding it all together with a couple bungee cords. I have 2 bungee cords here with some knots tied in them. The knots serve to shorten the length. They were a little long for the application, but also the knots kind of help keep things from sliding around. So I just kind of crossed it up here on the stand. I may try this year rotating these sticks 90 degrees and keeping them lower for depending what pack I'm carrying in. This setup, as I have it right now, is set up for using like a fanny pack type setup, where I hang the fanny pack straps up top here to keep the pack right about here. If it was a backpack where I had the 2 shoulder straps, I drop this down and get that backpack to sit right in this area. So that's kind of the route I'm taking. Most cases I do run a fanny pack with this because I'm going in further or looking for hard access but carrying light. So that's what I'm going with this setup.
all right, I run the Lone Wolf Alpha. I believe it's the Alpha 2, and Lone Wolf sticks, 3 of them. I used to run with a Muddy, the one that I sold to Jason, the Muddy on the top, just because it was a double peg. It was nicer to hang the stand, but I got away from that and just got comfortable with the single-sided steps. Pretty standard, everybody's running something similar to this, but some mods that I've done over the years. Stealth strips on all my sticks, which those things are great. I just a year or 2 ago I added the yak grips. I used to run inner tubes on the buckles to help silence them, but these things are also great, super comfortable. I got the pack straps that Jason had talked about. These are off one of my old packs. These are Tactical Tailor, very comfortable. Have the waist belt too, but I don't really use it honestly. And I added a piece of I don't even know what that is. I guess like for in a gym or something. Yeah. Just a piece of foam, and I just added that just for like your shoulder blades, digging in for some of those longer treks. The Lone Wolf has the built-in bow holder. I never really liked it, even though like this front's all paracorded and everything, so it's helps keep it silenced, but I never really liked it, especially if you get on a tree that has a little lean to it. Your bow wants to go, especially if you have any added side weight or anything on stabilizers. So I actually just added like a cheap, I think it's, yeah, HME. I bought this probably like 10 years ago. Just bolted that onto the side. That works great for me. The only complaint I really have about the stand is the seat's not super comfortable. I added another piece of that foam underneath. But I do have a hunt comfort for it that's really comfortable. It's just with the sticks, it's, you know, it's much thicker. Typically I just carry a small pack. I try not to carry hardly anything really, so just a small pack, and I just attach it up top. 2 bungee cords with some knots in them just to make them real tight, and I mean it's pretty secure. Never had any problems. Easy to unpack and climb up the tree. One other thing I'll just talk about real quick is, so this is the setup I've been running for probably 3-4 years. This is, I think, going to be my newest version. I'm going to probably drop the sticks and go with these wild edge steps. And I made this little kit.
So Zach and I were just talking about how, like, when we look at these stands that we have laying here, you know, going from Lane's stand, he just got this set up the other day, to mine that's a couple years old, to versions or whatever of Zach's that he's been running for years. You see the changes and the modifications. I think that's pretty natural, and you'll find as you get a setup for yourself that things just, you change. Like, you'll go to the woods, you'll start trying to climb up, and you'll maybe make a noise that spooks some deer, or you know, you'll think the way you carry your steps up works really good, and you drop a step and you change it. So it evolves over time, and my setup this year I'm going to do is different than last year, and I hope I learn from my mistakes. And like with Zach with his you know, wild edge steps, it could be even more of a game changer for him. So
another thing to touch on, I mean, this might be more in like actual like climbing methods, but something that's kind of helped me is just putting everything back in the same place, always using the same pockets, just so when you get into the woods and then, you know, early in the morning, you're not fumbling around, where's your release or where's your bow rope. It's just always in the same place. You put it back in the same place. Sometimes when I come out I don't, and then when I get back I'll repack everything the same so it's ready to go. You know, something that I've learned over the years, and it's different for all the sticks. You know, I run 3 sticks, lone wolf sticks with you know, the staggered steps. You look really dumb when you say you're going to climb this tree, and you go to climb the tree and you're like, oh, I'm only going to use 2 steps or 2 sticks, and you got your steps facing the wrong way, and you go to get in your stand and you're all, oh, now I'm wrong side of the tree. So just stuff like that. Like if I use 3, I know I want to be opposite to how I want to face. You know, but I might get halfway up the tree and change my mind and say, hey, I'm only going 2 sticks high. Now, it gets a little goofy on your feet, so just thinking about stuff like that.
yeah, the attention to detail, and it's really good to get in touch or talk to people who do this a lot, because you can eliminate some growing pains that, you know, lessons that are hard learned. With Zach, I mean, I you know, picked his brain with my setup, and it improved what I did. And like you said too, like you know, keeping track of where everything's at, it's so important to, like, you can be sloppy when you're just carrying a big backpack and you're just chucking gear in there, you know, and you're, you know, doing maybe like a less you know, convenient way of getting in there. But I mean, when you start running light like this, you really got to make sure you keep track of things. My sticks, for instance, it takes me a little longer to put them together when I'm done at the end of the hunt, but when I climb with them, I can get them apart quiet and efficiently, and that to me, like, is where, you know, the dividends are paid. Like, you know, sometimes you got to give a little more time when it doesn't matter, so when it does matter, you know, it works out. And that's like for my sticks, and I'm pretty sure, like with Zach and even Lane, what you're going to run, you'll find that, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, even in the off season, you know, now's the time to be practicing and working the kinks out, but you're going to find kinks through it forever. But, you know, even through the YouTube channels and, you know, the different websites out there, the forums, like there's guys always doing cool stuff, so making stuff better. And I mess with stuff all the time, like, oh, that worked for me, or it might not work for you. And,
yeah.
You know,
the other thing that comes into play too is, you know, personal comfort. You know, some of these guys are running like, you know, wild edge steps with like a 5-step aider, which is the nylon strap with steps on it. Personally, when I'm like 15, 20 feet off the ground, dangling from a strap of nylon, I get a little freaked out. You know, so it comes down to what your abilities are. You know, if you're an older gentleman or, you know, older woman, and you don't want to be dangling from a tree, you know, monkeying around, you may opt for more sticks, a little more weight, but just, you know, that security that you don't fall. Obviously, we're going to be running we're all gonna be wearing harnesses when we're doing this stuff too. It's not something you take risks with.
So like, I upgraded this harness. I don't know if this is an upgrade or a downgrade, but for me it's an upgrade. It's lighter, more minimum. I just add a couple 550 cord loops for my sticks, and I have like for my pack. But you know, the safety, obviously. I mean, you got to wear harnesses, so don't be crazy and not wear harnesses. But the harness, Lineman's belts. You know, there's so many guys running different things. I just use mine's just I don't even know what size rope it is, but I just made it, and it has Prusik on it with 2 carabiners, and that's what I go with. I know a lot of guys use those. What are they? Ropemans. Those one-hand jobs. They're pretty nice. I just don't want another thing clinging around. But the one hand is awesome. But
the guys that
what I do, it works.
The guys doing saddle stuff. There's all kinds of new neat stuff out there that you can use. I mean, by all means, experiment, but just make sure you're doing it safely. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
So when I get to the tree, I you know, obviously I figure out how I want to face, and I'll drop my pack, and I usually just, you know, lean everything up against the tree, and then I just take my bungees off from the top, kind of settles in there, and I always stick my bungees right at into the tree. I mean, I don't know, maybe deer won't like that, but I've never really had any problems with it. Drop my pack. I usually just put a loop here just to get some of this slop out of here. And then I have the actual stand strap. Oh, that's another thing. I only use one strap. I took the bottom one off. So I only use one strap for my stand. Take that off and I just let it hang to the side. And I take all 3 sticks off. So my very top stick is my first stick. It has just like a little section of webbing, a little aider. I hardly ever use this, but if I think I need to get higher, I will. It's just nice to have. So once I do that, I grab my bow rope, which I use a figure 8. Tons of guys use this. Super simple, just kind of falls out as you climb. So as I start climbing, it just comes out. I don't have to worry about it getting tangled up. So that's was a huge improvement from my old setup where just, you know, you run a rope and it gets tangled on your steps. So here's my pack. I usually don't carry too much stuff. So I just use this little cheap S beaner. Always stays on here, except for right now. And that goes into just this paracord. I just hang it between my legs. Stand goes back on my back. And I don't do my chest strap usually. And my bow rope obviously is hooked up. We're just gonna say it is. Now here's my my linemans that I run. It's just, you know, basic climbing rope. I tape this end just because I always like to keep this on my left side with my Prusik, just so I can identify it. One loop I made bigger than the other because once I get up the tree, I actually use this as my my tether for my harness, and then I use the Prusik as my loop for hanging my pack and all that stuff. So the way I do this, I try to eliminate carrying doubles of anything extra. So just one thing does multiple things. So I'll hook up my loop, chuck it over my neck. My Prusik's on my right side. First stick up is the one with the aider on it. So obviously single steps are staggered. I mean, they're gonna move a little bit, but that's it. If I wanted to go higher, obviously I could put it higher and use this, you know, to get more max out of it if I wanted to, but I'll go with that right now. Then I take my other stick, goes into this paracord loop, left side or right side. Same thing on the left. So now I have 2 sticks. One on the tree, my pack's hanging from me, and my stand's on my back. Bows on the ground or up against the tree to my my rope. So now I'm just gonna get into it. And then I'll throw my Linemans around. This is the difference between not having that ropeman, I think it's called. You know, there's one hand operation, mine isn't. So I just usually lean back into it and just do that. So now, I typically take off the stick to the side the bow's on just so it's one less thing. But we'll go with this side. So, same thing, got my height, use your knee, or that's what I use. Sometimes I just hold it with my chin. Take my slack out again. All right, now that I'm up the tree, about where I'm gonna go, I'll put my stand on. And I just go off one side. I usually just loosen these up real slow. Go off one side. And when I hang my stand, I always hold it by the post. It just helps me get it around the tree a little bit. So, well, in this instance, we're gonna go this way. All right. So here's where I was talking about knowing which side of the tree you're gonna go off of so your top stick ends up in the right place. So the way I do it is I just reach around the tree with the stand. I mean, it's light enough. And then put your stand on, hold it with your by the post so it's nice and tight to the tree. And then you're able to just hook that up, cinch it down, and like with this stand, it has the bat wing, so you got a little versatility out of how you hang on different trees. But I'll just do that, give it a good crank, and then I just cinch it down and rotate it down. Now here, this stand also has this adjustment for the platform, so you know, you can adjust that. So here's my prusik from earlier that I was showing you. I take my backpack with that S-beaner, and that hangs right there. And then when I bring my bow up, my bow goes right there, nock an arrow. My quiver, I just have a piece of 550 cord on it. That goes on the other S-beaner, or the other side of the S-beaner, so then everything's right there. Obviously this seat has some leveling. Just like a lot of them do now, I guess. So level up your seat. Got my bow here, my pack's there. I know some guys like to keep their quivers up close, so I just always kind of kept it right there. And I'm hunting.
So, like I said, I have these molly straps, so I just unclip when I get to the tree. Very similar to what Zach was doing. Alright, so I prop it up to the tree just like how Zach did. And then I pack my sticks all together. So like that. Now, I have all 5 here right now today. Depending on if I know where I'm going, or have an idea where I want to go or how high, I could, you know, shed a couple sticks off the pile, you know, or if I just start using an aider, get rid of some of these sticks. But I packed them together like this. So I wouldn't in a hunting setup have a backpack or a fanny pack. I'd set that to the side before I unpacked, obviously. But then I go across my chest with this, so all my sticks are right there. I just have one strap holding my I stand the seat down. So this is a standard nylon strap with like a buckle. Pop that off. And I pop off the bungee cords. And same idea. You could pack these in your pack, you know, to take up with you if you were worried about scent or whatever. Like Zach, I never had any trouble. I make a little hole or prop them in a nook at the bottom of the tree, so I know where they're at when I go to pack back up at the end of the day. I talked earlier about I added a piece of 550 cord to the top of my stand. So what I'll be doing with that then is, when I go to hang the stand, before I even take the stand on my back, I'll put a bow hook, or if you're hunting public and you can't use the screw-in bow hook, you could use the strap-on kind, and you put that on the tree first, and then I hang this off there. So the stand just hangs on its own, and then I can, at my convenience, put the straps on there without having to worry about holding the stand in place. I've had trouble, you know, trying to hold the stand where you want it in the tree, you know, and that whole balancing act. So this kind of keeps it all in place for me. I do also have a small pack here I keep on the stand, just out of the way. This is where I keep my straps for the stand, and also a bow hook for, like I said earlier. So I pull that out a while. That in my pocket. Similar to what Zach did, I tie onto my bow, drop that, tie the other end to my gear, my pocket, whatever, somewhere in my harness just to keep it with me. And then that would be attached. The stand goes back on my back. So what I would do here is, this is what I talked about earlier about how I pack it up. It makes it easier to take it apart. So I find the first stick, pop it off. These sticks have like a cam lock system with a rope, so that's how they hold together. So the very first stick is ready to go then, once I undo the rope, just like that. And notice that I didn't, by taking that rope off, I didn't change what I got here. That's still ready to go for the next one then. Usually I don't. I put the first stick on before I pick the stand up and everything, but in this case it's alright. So there's the first stick. Now if I run an aider, I put these loops of 6mm cord on the bottom of the stick here to clip on with a carabiner, like for an aider. If I use I bought a 4-step aider. I can't find it right now. It's probably in the woods somewhere. So I have to get another one, but I would clip that to the bottom here, and if I am using that, I can hang this stick as high as I could reach, which at the bottom of the stick's around 6.5 feet. So a 4-step aider gets me that whole area covered then with that. And like I said, I'm not comfortable running an aider up much higher than the first or second stick. So in the end, I'll still have to have sticks up top, but this is what I got for down below here. All right, so the lineman ropes around. Make sure that step's seated good. I keep my prusik on the left side just because I find I can get better grip and move the knot up and down with my right hand and keep the free hand in my left for like positioning it. But now I rotate my steps back around the tree, pop the next one off. I have another loop on this one for possibly using an aider on that. Like I said, the second stick, but that's about as far as I'll go with those. It can be a little sketchy at times when you start having all these ropes. You start, almost getting tangled in each other. You just want to kind of keep track that this rope didn't go over the other one, or vice versa. And you can check your step distance. I mean, it's from the top step, you don't want to go much higher than about a knee's height, in my opinion, because then you're taking those really big, hard to manage steps. If you're taller, maybe you can pull it off. I'm 5'10"-ish, so setting it about knee's height from this one to this one is about right for me. So that one on there then. And I basically would repeat this process. I'll put one more stick up, and then we'll just kind of hang the stand just to kind of show you where we're at with things. See, and that's the kind of stuff right there where I just ting my step on the other one. That's the kind of thing that, that can really make or break a hunt. You sneak into a spot, and then you do that, and you hear a deer go running off 50 yards away, and you know all your hard work was just in vain. So I'm kind of rushing now for the sake of video, but it's really good to take your time and, when possible, eliminate where those contact points can happen, like with stealth strips or different kinds of cushion type stuff to keep that metal on metal contact from happening. So basically, I ditched the last couple sticks. Now, like I said, and this just for this example, but I'll hang the stand on the same side of the tree here. Okay. So I'm gonna get to the height I want to put my stand. I get my bow hook out. And like I said, this is something like in Pennsylvania, for example, you're not supposed to use any kind of screw-in devices into the trees. So like here, we're on my property, so it's no big deal. But if it is public, and you get one of the strap ones, little steps or whatever, with the nylon strap. I don't even go really far with it, just kind of to hold this in place. I bring my stand around, open her up, and I just take that 550 cord loop that I have, and I hang it there. So it basically just stays in place. So now I'm at a position now where I can kind of get my straps out as I need it. Similar to what Zac had, I didn't show you these earlier, but I coated the outside of my metal buckles with the soft side of Velcro, the softer side, and I stuck it. It was sticky, so I put it on the buckle there. So around with this strap. When you make that loop out of, if you do try that same setup I did there with that piece of 550 cord, just make sure you make it long enough that you can get it off when you're done here. So I get the first strap on, and I'll show you what I mean. You gotta be able to pick up on it and pop it off the bow hook. Get the bow hook out of the way now. But now I can just tighten up this buckle, lock her in there, and then my other buckle I'll put on the bottom. And like Zac said, there are sometimes I won't put both straps on. I feel most comfortable and safest when I have both. But the tree may dictate otherwise, depending on if there's like limbs or that kind of thing. Now for the bottom one, to get this to lock in good and tight, I actually will open up the platform a little bit, about there. Tighten up that bottom strap. And then when you pull her down, it kind of cams onto place and it locks all these buckles in tight. I'm sure if you ever hung stands a lot, you've had times you step into a stand and the top isn't secured to the tree or it's pulling away. A lot of times it's because people aren't camming them into place. The bow hook I use for hanging just goes back in my pocket, or I could use it for my bow when I get up in the tree. I'm also not too comfortable with stepping into stands. I've had 2 cables in my lifetime break. Maybe I should stop eating ice cream. But from stepping into stands, and so that's a place or time when I don't like to, not be tied in. So I'm in here now.
All right, so this is the setup that I started talking a little bit about earlier, that I'm thinking I'm gonna run this year. I haven't messed with it much, so I'm, got a lot of need to put in a lot of time and practice. So this is the nadir. So yeah, I'm real new to this, so I've only used it a couple times, but pretty cool. This will actually hook onto the step when I go to transition off my aider and then into my next step. So in this pocket I just got same Linemans I had earlier, the nadir, and then this is just like a temporary aider I just made up until I get my one I'm gonna really try and hunt with. This one I just made with webbing. Has a old piece of rope in the middle just to give it some rigidity, and just some overhand knots, and then it's finished off with a water knot. And yeah, so I would just put my step on, clip into this, climb up this with my Linemans, and then use this to transition. So like I said, I got some kinks to work out of this. Last time I used it, I actually hooked it on my harness. See how it works. Just hooks on there, and then I put a piece of 550 cord just to keep it tight to my leg. I mean, pretty low profile. I mean, pretty easy. I'm just dropping my stand. I already have my harness on, dropping my stand and throwing this thing on my hip, and gonna climb. So the way I would use this, and I'll do it pretty low just to. So first thing, you got to take a step off, and I just have a little bungee here just to keep this back together, keep it zipped up. So this will go on the tree like this, obviously, and then my carabiner will sit right here. So go around the tree like this. And then just this little, like, I guess it's like a half hitch. This is actually someone else came up with this knot. It's not the one that they use on their site, but you got to mess with the tensions. That's the one tricky part. So you just, I might have it too loose, too tight. I have to practice with it, but you'll just pull it up and rotate it back down. Pull it up, rotate it down. So I'm going to actually make it a little tighter. I think once you get the hang of it, I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty solid. So, I mean, I don't know how high that is. It's just over 6 feet. So I mean, I'm 6'1", so I'd say, yeah, 6.5 feet, something like that. So that's one step. Now just picture I'm going to do 2 of those, and then climb into my stand maybe a foot or so. I think it's just whatever you're comfortable with. So then I would take, obviously I would manage these a little better, but I would take this aider. Take this aider and just clip it in just like that. So I think with having one sewn would actually stay better, because these are knots, they want to rotate. But only thing you got to remember is, because you're using, I have a nader on my right leg, I need to step into my opposite leg with this setup.
Your top step would be your left foot then, right?
So left, right, left, because if I did it the other way, I would mess my feet up for how I, you know what I mean? So this rope can just hang out. Lineman the same way as I've done, with any other ones. I'll actually go around right away. I keep my prusik on my right side, and then I'll close my gates. So I haven't had a lot of experience with this. I just kind of started messing with it. From what other guys are doing, they say you gotta like sit back in your harness, and just kind of trust it, and then dig your toe into the tree. Now here I could have gone higher, or used a smaller, shorter aider, because I'm not, got the full tension there. But so anyway, I got my toe into the tree, into the aider. Here's where you'll see how the nader works. So right now I'm centered in my bracket here. I'm gonna hook my nader right beside it so I can transition to take this off. So let me get some slack out of this, or give me some slack, I guess. I'm gonna come up, step right into it, and now same thing, dig your toe, and now my weight is off of this. All my weight is onto that. So here's where, I'll hook it to there. Now I'm off. So I would do the same thing again. That's how I'm thinking I'm gonna run it. Like I said, I'm definitely have some changes to make, but
You talked through it and you just did that up and down in probably, I mean, 10, 15 minutes. It wasn't barely that long at all. Yeah, that was, I mean, you're saying you're new to it too. So
Yeah, I've done it.
That's good.
Let me think. I've climbed, I think this is my 6th time with this completely, like I've never.
It's pretty smooth though, I thought.
Yeah, it is.
I think it'll get better.
And I mean, back to what we talked about before, you know, this whole thing is kind of like your setups evolve. I mean, I was saying to Lane as he was climbing, like, I'm going to ditch my muddy sticks and get these because this looks, I mean, just the packability is there. I think your whole pack weighs probably maybe a hair more than one of my sticks. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the guy that I got these from, I mean, he's out there, so I'll say his name. I think it's Jamie Klein on Saddle Hunter Forum. Has all good reviews. I mean, makes awesome stuff. Look at it. I mean, that's rock solid. So.
What did you say it was, like 30 or 40?
$45 for a set. That has a swader also, which I don't use, but I figured what the heck for the money. So I think a $35 just for this, but I mean, those guys know what they're doing. I mean, someone's figuring stuff out, so let them figure it out. I'll just buy it.
That weighs how much, you think?
It's 3.5 pounds. 3.54. Maybe a hair more now. Or it's a little more. I put the Limans in it, but I didn't count that originally because it's not different from my other setup. But so I don't know what, I forget what this lone wolf's weigh, like 2 pounds, 3. I don't know.
Something like that.
So you save a little bit of weight, but I like the packability of it. I like it's not clinging and clanging. I like the low profile. Like I said, I mean, even with a pack, throw my small pack on and my bungees. I mean,
yeah, here's the next closest packability wise, not weight wise.
Yeah.
Is my setup, but I'm probably at least 10 pounds heavier than you.
like I said before, you know, the way this goes, it's like that tall. So you're saving a little bit of weight, but it's just the way it's distributed. I like it better. So.
And when you start carrying through thick cover and those kind of things, you're going to
A lot of times
2 to 3
I
miles.
get into places where I'm on my belly, so it sucks getting snagged. You know, getting snagged on a branch and you're fighting it. But,
trying to be quiet.
but that's the project for this year. So hopefully it works out because I'm kind of liking it.
So you got to see
Sweet.
you got to see kind of a cross section here of experience for sure. Lane's just now getting into it. I'm okay at it. Zac's been doing it quite a while, and even him this year he's changing something.
Yeah,
so
every year.
you know, it'd be interesting to kind of look at what our setups are in 5 months or 4 months after this season where we're at with it.
Yeah.
And honestly, every setup here can kill deer. It's not a matter of you're gonna kill deer. It's a matter of how much you like using it, how efficient and effective were you.
Yep.
If you spook 50 deer when you get that one killed, or you spook no deer and get one killed, it's kind of that's where it really makes a difference.